want to take a point of personal privilege too, and first of all say thank you to Kieran, to the others who spoke. I have to say I am like really struck by, I can't even look at you two, being struck by being in this room with people who have taught me everything I know, who have been leaders for such a long time, and also by these amazing colleagues who I am privileged to work with really across the government, so thank you. Speaking of privilege, I get to talk to Tobin Heath. This is Tobin Heath, for those of you who don't know. Tobin is a former U.S. national women's team soccer player. She has won not one but 2 World Cups and maybe 4 Olympic medals, if I'm counting correctly. 3? I've given her a 4th. And in addition to everything she's done on the field, she's also been a fierce champion with her teammates for equal pay. So I thought if you wouldn't mind starting by talking a little bit about the work that the team did, the Players Association did, what that journey was like, and sort of how you got where you are.
Yeah, thank you, Jen, and thank you so much, everyone. It's a real honor to be here. I was here at the White House. The last time was in 2015 after our incredible victory, and I can kind of feel a lot of cheerleaders in this room that were cheering for us then, and then also in 2019 where we were facing actually 2 championships, which was our fight for equal pay and also winning back-to-back World Cups. So just want to point out, thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you're doing here. It was needed in our pursuit, and we could really feel that. And a special thank you to Molly Levinson, who's here, who really, Molly, can you stand up? Because this is a woman. Molly Levinson led us in so much of our public discourse that was happening, our fight off the field. It was rooted in this discussion that I'm sure many of you have every single day, which is, fighting for our worth and for our value. And so I just want to thank Molly because she was a tremendous teammate of ours during our fight. Thanks, Molly. Back to your question, Jen. So before the 2019 World Cup, and I do not recommend this, we sued our employer for equal pay right before going to the World Cup. So we were playing for them and suing them at the same time, which is a little awkward in passing. And, coming off the 2015 victory, we were really putting all of our chips on the table. And this was an extraordinary group of women. I'm sure a lot of you belong to those groups of women that really champion each other. And there's not many jobs that are gendered in this world, right? Where, at a certain age, you go this way and you go that way. And I've never been more comfortable in a room full of women because this was exactly what it was like during our fight. And it's powerful. And we went to that World Cup, and I don't know if any of you were there, but there was a pivotal moment in the World Cup, which was when we won. And in that moment, you expect the whole stadium to be chanting USA, right? Go US. But in that moment, the whole stadium was chanting equal pay. And this was in France. This was a global moment. And really, it changed the course of my life. If you had asked me when I was a kid, 4 years old, how I was going to put equity, progress into the world, I don't think I would have said I'm going to kick a soccer ball into the back of the net. But really, that's what's happened. For so long, I dismissed this otherness of sports that comes with being a woman athlete. I said, I want to be just treated like an athlete. I want to be respected for my athletic abilities. Why do I have to do these other things? Why do I have to stand for these other things? And in that moment when the stadium was chanting equal pay is when I realized the amount of privilege and honor it is to, along with Lilly, to be able to champion this movement. It's so much greater than putting the ball in the back of the net. And it was a real honor to be part of a group that continues to fight for this work. That was long-winded, but...
Not at all. And could you talk a little bit more about the sort of, the importance of it becoming part of collective bargaining and prize money in addition to, just the sort of basics of your salary as a player.
Yeah, forever. I mean, this was kind of the culmination of a lot of fights, and we kind of talk about the passing of the torch through the generations of the U.S. women's national team. And I can't remember a time that I was on the U.S. team, and I started when I was a teenager on the first team. I can't remember a time that we didn't go into our collective bargaining agreements, which traditionally happen like every 4 years, that we didn't sit in a room, a little different than this, but that we didn't sit in a room and say, we're going to strike. This isn't fair, we're going to strike. And, the U.S. women's national team, we've never lacked bravado, ever. So, we get all passionate about it, and then, we come into a room where, a man essentially would sit us down and teach us the economics around our sport and why we were being paid the way we were being paid. And it was discouraging. It was super discouraging. And ultimately, the bravado didn't leave the field, but it did leave those rooms. And so we, settled for, inflation each time, essentially. And we kept going, and we kept winning. That's kind of the whole through line of this. We kept winning. And this kind of culminated then right before 2019, where we sat in that room that I had sat in since I was a teenager, listening to the same things over again when we sat in that room, and finally we said, enough is enough. Through the education, through our power, through our collective bargaining, we were able to achieve equal pay coming out of that 2019 World Cup. And I will say this, and this isn't fair, but it was only through the winning that we were able to achieve equal pay.
And you alluded to this about France in particular being a global moment, but really your fight for equal pay has been a global moment. So could you just talk a little bit about how you think the work of the players has inspired women in other sectors, in other countries? Tell us about the ripple effects that your work has had.
It's been extraordinary what we saw, and a lot of people, we really are kind of like pushing the ceiling for, in our field of women's sports, we play a sport that is global, and we also are the best at it, and that responsibility means that we have to continue to push the ceiling for better. And sometimes that's hard, because when we look at other parts of the world and what they're currently getting, there's a big difference. So there's this part of this rhetoric that is like, be grateful, you guys are earning so much more, look at the rest of the world. But we know that our fight in this is to continue to push for more and more and more and more. Because if the 2023 World Cup, although there's been progress, the women still only made 25 cents to the dollar of the men's 22 World Cup. And that's astronomical. And so we're nowhere close to the progress that's needed in this. But we continue to fight. I forget what exactly I was saying. Or what the question was.
Other sectors.
Oh, yes, but the incredible thing that came out of 2019 was that the federations that, one, sought our advice and support through how do you do this? And obviously it's different throughout the world, but we motivated them and inspired them that they could believe in equal pay as well. We saw so many federations file for equal pay with their federations and achieve it following ours, not just in global women's football, but in all of women's sports. I can't tell you the amount of women that have come up to me and have shared their inspirational stories in their own fields of the motivation that they were given to go into work and demand equal pay and pay transparency, which is a huge issue. And it's just, it's beyond any World Cup.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming today, and most importantly for the fight that you have led for so long, and also for being a great player that's inspired. I don't have girls, but I have 3 boys, and they love you.
Yeah. Can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
First off, Lilly Ledbetter is like an absolute champion. She would have rocked it on the U.S. women's national team. So I don't know if she can see me, but thank you so much. And I will say it's actually, it's incredible to hear about her because, I had a team. You know, there was so much power in having a team during this time, and to think about going through that as an individual is crazy to think about, and I just want to thank her for the work that she did. Although I would say organizing meetings was probably a lot easier.
Thank you, that was great. And I just want to end by, speaking of teams, thanking the GPC team. I see many of them here. Particular shout out to Lena Vollen, who literally has been on this rule since the day she started here. And some of you may remember that often. And anyway, and thanks so much to everybody else in the room for being here, for taking the time to be here today, and also, as I said, as I started, for the work that you have done and will continue to do to ensure pay equity for women across this country. So thank you.